Affairs Commission, filling the vacant Greenwood Cultural Center seat is Michelle Burdick. Come on up. Welcome.
Thank you.
Hi.
Please just go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody and tell us a little bit about you and why you want to serve.
Okay, so Michelle, Tulsa native, born and raised. I have spent most of my professional career at the Greenwood Cultural Center. This June will be my 30th year
Wow.
there as a program coordinator, public speaker, and our on-site historian. And I'm excited about the opportunity to work alongside so many people on the commission now. I think I know every single person and have had the opportunity to work with many of them. And as the Greenwood Cultural Center is in the process of renovations, when we reopen our doors, hopefully January, February 2027, we want to serve as more of a cultural hub. And so I'm hoping to make better connections so that we can collaborate with some of the individuals and the commission to better utilize the space at the Greenwood Cultural Center.
Great. Appreciate your willingness to serve.
Yes, thank you.
Do we have any questions or comments?
Thank you for serving.
Okay, great. You'll be on the 5 o'clock agenda next Wednesday, the 13th. You're welcome to be there if you want, but don't foresee any problems, so.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay, number 3, discussion regarding the Retail Revitalization Loan Fund to provide an update on the budget amendment approved in the fall of 2025 related to the fund and a HUD Small Business Loan Match Program. And we have Ms. Davis here. Go
Yes, it's me and Rose Washington as well as on the screen behind you. She was out of town but was able to break away and join us today. So we wanted to bring an issue back to you all just so that it was clear at the council table and you had an update on these funds. And so if you remember back in October and November, we had 3 different committee discussions regarding 2 budget amendments. One of those budget amendments was a budget amendment for this small business loan match program, and it was coming out of a commitment made from the 2016 Vision Economic Development Funds for Retail Revitalization. Those funds, we were just committing to a certain geographic area in District 1 related to the Choice Neighborhood Program. And then those had a match somewhere else. And so the match conditions have changed, and that is what Rose is going to go over with you and give you a little bit more information, and then I'll just tie it up at the end. And this was just to make sure everybody understood where that was now, because it is different than what it was in October and November.
Okay. Rose, welcome.
Well, thank you. Zoom is wonderful, right? Well, thank you, counselors, for allowing me to, again, speak to you. And Sarah, thanks for teeing this up. But as Sarah mentioned, we wanted to come back to you regarding the Retail Revitalization Loan Fund commitment that we requested several months ago that was required as a match to the Tulsa Housing Authority's choice property, choice development that's happening at 36th Street North. And it is really the reinvention of the old Comanche. And as a part of those types of developments, those choice neighborhoods developments, there are a number of community engagement issues. And one that the community identified was the need to create opportunities for small business ownership. And so through that process, THA agreed to commit $1 million or so to business lending under the condition that the city provided a $1.5 million match. And we were tapping into the Retail Revitalization Loan Funds to provide that match, but we didn't have sufficient funds to cover the entirety of the match for a number of different reasons, primarily lack of communication. So council agreed to add $1 million from another source into the Retail Revitalization Loan Fund. Because there was also another $500,000 available to the fund or committed to the fund that TEDC had not drawn down. And so fast forward to today, as we continue to work with THA to get a firm commitment and a firm contract from them on the fund that they're going to commit, along with the match that the city will provide. The THA's number has been changed, so it has gone from $1 million or so down to 400,000. And so what Sarah and I just wanted to talk about was the messaging to let you know that your $1 million commitment was now only 400,000, and we in total had $1.5 million available for the match. Now, we've been working with Councilor Archie on a big project that still qualifies for the Retail Revitalization Loan Fund, but at the other end of the BRT, the Bus Rapid Transit Corridor. And so, Sarah, I don't know how much more I need to say, but what we do know for sure is that the THA commitment to the business fund is reduced to 400,000 at this moment. It could be in the future that commitment is decreased further as they determine what their financing needs are for the other buildings that are coming out of the ground as a part of 36 North. And so we wanted to be very transparent with council, to be very clear in letting you know that the $1 million that we had asked for, that would be part of the $1.5 million match for they call it a critical community improvement loan fund for businesses in that neighborhood, has changed a bit, and so we've gone from a required match of $1.5 million to a required match of about 400,000, and it could change again, but right now we are committed to the 400,000. So Sarah, I hope what I've said makes sense. You can clean it up.
Yeah, I think that's good. And so really at this point, what will occur is you've already appropriated those funds, so you don't actually need to take any action on this. Those funds that are above 400,000 that TEDC will have can still go through the program that we have set out by the economic incentive policy. So other businesses could apply for those funds. They're now available. And so anybody in the retail market study corridors, there were 12 or 13 areas, and along the BRT would now be eligible for this project. So we just didn't want people to be thinking we were double promising funds. So, yes.
So, thanks Rose for that explainer. We were putting in $1 million to unlock 1.5. Are we keeping that same ratio? 'Cause now that they're only coming to the table with 4, or do we stay in?
I think maybe we were putting in 1.5 and they were putting in about 1.
Right.
And so theirs is really gonna depend on their other project financing.
So we're just staying with our 1.
We're saying, we're going with 400,000.
We're lowering ours.
Yeah.
There's no match. I thought their match was 4.
Their match hopefully is 4.
So it's still a 1-to-1 match, but now down to 8 total.
Right,
Okay.
yes,
Okay. That's sad.
yeah.
And Sarah, so we partner with Partner Tulsa, so TEDC underwrites those loans, they go to our board for approval, then we submit them to Partner Tulsa, they do a review, and then they bring it in some form or fashion to council,
Yes.
I think.
I think on this one, they all have different paths, but I think on this one, what happens is that it goes to the technical review. If it makes it through Rose's process, then it goes to the technical review committee, then the full review committee. And I think on this one, there is a notice to the council of successful projects. If there was a budgetary action to take at that point, you would have to take it. But in this case, I think the budgetary action has likely already been taken.
So what happens with the 6 that's sitting out?
It can go out for application, so now other people can utilize those funds. And it doesn't mean in the future that this geographic area in District 1 can't also apply for funds that have come back in as program income and things like that. And then Rose and I went over this with Councilor Hall Harper when she was here last week, since it affects her district too. So,
Okay,
somewhat spaghetti, but we understand it. We may not always articulate it clearly,
Yeah.
but we do understand the moving parts.
Got it.
Great.
We just had so many committee discussions about this that we wanted to make sure to loop back.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, thanks for making time.
Thank you, Rose.
Thank you,
You all.
Rose.
Okay,
See you soon.
bye. Okay, number 4, resolution authorizing payment of $30,000 to Marla Stewart, plaintiff, and Greg Denny Law, PLLC, from sinking fund as payment of a judgment and attorney fee. Welcome.
Good afternoon, counselors.
Hi.
Chad Becker from Treasury, here as always to give council assurance that there is a sufficient balance, cash balance in the sinking fund to pay this levy, or pay this judgment ahead of the levy placement on the tax rolls. The judgment has been approved by the court and the mayor, and now with council's approval, finance issues payment to the claimant, and then we forward all the paperwork to the county and levy repayment, the sinking fund over a 3-year period. And Nick Williams with City League is here to give some details about the case.
This was an auto accident case that an employee of the city was found at fault for. She was driving a city vehicle on city time. Luckily, damages were pretty moderate, about $9,000 in medical bills and then about $8,000 to $9,000 in damage to the plaintiff's vehicle, which by law entitles them to attorney's fees. And so that's why we think this $30,000 amount is a good settlement for the city. It precludes any further attorney's fees that might come up should the case proceed further or go to trial. I'm happy to tell more facts of the case if any of y'all have any questions about it.
Yeah, I was just gonna check if this is a case of typical, like, just like human error, like accidents happen, or if this was like some other upstream issue.
I was actually talking with Chad right before. It's a really funky intersection.
Oh, no.
It
So is
basically,
it
it's a
somehow
four-way
the
with
cities?
what's that?
So we could need to fix an intersection, tell us more. Like,
I wouldn't say that, but it's
Well,
basically a
we'll see.
four-way intersection with a diagonal going through. And the city employee had the stop sign on that diagonal road, stopped, looked both ways, didn't see anyone coming through, and proceeded through the intersection. But lo and behold, there was an individual driving through, and so it was sort of right in her blind spot from what I've told.
what
Is this
intersection is
Utica? Where is this at?
It's really close to Tulsa SPCA. It's, I think, 36th, East 36th Street North and Mohawk Boulevard. It's a little southwest
Oh,
of
yeah, that's a-
Tulsa
Yep.
SPCA.
I know the
Exactly
intersection.
where you're talking about.
James out, James Johnson.
Counselor Gilbert.
No, that's what I wanted to know, just more information on the accident, so. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 5, resolution calling for and requesting the Tulsa County Election Board to conduct a nonpartisan special election on October 25th. Why, I have no idea. To place before the electors of the city of Tulsa the question of approval or disapproval of ordinance number 25782, which grants franchise to Oklahoma Natural Gas Company. Ms.
I'm
Davis.
back again.
Hello.
Sarah Davis and council staff. So we've talked about the ONG franchise the last couple of weeks. As a reminder, there are 3 separate legislative actions that you'll take. This is the second one. So this is just the resolution calling the election. All of the substance was over in the franchise ordinance that we went over last week. So this will look very similar to a lot of other resolutions you have calling elections. This is on the agenda for next week for vote. The franchise ordinance is on next week for a vote. There's public comment opportunity tonight at the 5 o'clock. And then, of course, we'll continue to table at the community conversations if anybody wants to come and ask questions there. So this is just that formal piece of legislation to call the election.
Counselor Gilbert.
So you were at the community conversation last night?
I was.
Did you get very many people asking questions about it?
Not about, I did talk to some people, not about the franchise agreement. Mostly I had a utility bill question and someone who knew a lot about the mariachi band scene in public schools, which was actually very interesting.
it's very niche.
Thanks for,
Yeah,
thanks for
that
being
is-
there.
Yeah, thank you very much. So, appreciate you.
So, but we were there to answer and we'll be there next week
Yeah.
as well.
Okay. Well, thank you for doing that.
Other questions? Okay, seeing none, thank you.
Right.
Number 6, ordinance amending Title 49, Tulsa Revised Ordinances, Administrative Permit and License Fees by amending Chapter 1 and some other areas. And Mr. Skates, welcome to our table.
Thank you, thank you. Title 49 is our permit fees. We have several fee changes as well as fee additions across development services, public works, and planning department. And so within the ordinance, hopefully you guys had a chance to look at it, we are looking to increase the application and building permit fees by 3%, which is the inflation rate. We also have included a fee for the review and time that it takes us to do LOMRs and city regulatory floodplain reviews and document related to stormwater. Public Works has included after-hour and weekend inspection fees, and then the planning office has included applications for posting of more than 2 signs at a charge for that. So I can answer any questions if you have any.
Any questions?
Okay?
Well, that was easy.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
Number 7, discussion of proposed District 5 project that will use Council District Community Development Priority Project funds and improve our Tulsa 2 for the construction of a sidewalk that will connect South Hudson and South Lakewood Avenue, east of 36th Place, in the amount of $575,000. Counselor Gilbert, is this you?
Yeah, so I have held a couple of public meetings with residents of District 5 to kind of give us their ideas of how they would like to see this community block money spent. There's going to be a couple more coming, but this first one is a sidewalk along 36th. It's going to be connecting Lakewood to Hudson. Just kind of put it in perspective, it's right there by Bishop Kelly High School. But there's also other schools there. There's Zorro Elementary and Montessori School. So a lot of the kids walking to school are having to walk in the street because there's no sidewalk along that area. Once you cross Hudson, there is a sidewalk. So, and a lot of those students living in those different apartment complexes back there are walking to bus stops along the way, especially all the way down to Darlington Park, so Highland Park, excuse me, on Yale. So this is just making sure that students have a safe route to school and just keeping, of course, all the pedestrians also in that area safe, so.
Great. Any questions?
Well, seems like
Is
we could
this
use
the-
funds.
Is this the whole, I'm just curious, is this the whole rest of the IoT dollars for
This-
District 5? No, this is just the first part.
This is just the first part.
Okay.
No money from the D5 fund has been
Okay.
used yet.
I remember that there was like alternate dollars found for different projects, so I'm glad that these are there for this.
Yes,
Well, that's exciting.
yep.
Will they be able to do the work over the summer, so back to school? It'll be done, or no, it's in a queue?
We're gonna, depends how fast this goes, that would be ideal.
Yeah,
If
okay.
you can. Yeah, it's all out of the right of way, and I think we ought to be able to get it in that corner. The apartment complex, our signs there is our
Yeah.
only challenge.
It's in the right of way, and so they have to move it back, so.
Good old right of way.
Pretty straightforward.
Gotta measure a little better.
Okay, everybody turn your head. Measure better.
But the city has had that discussion with the complex too about the sign as well,
Mhm.
so.
Good. Okay,
Yep.
great. Thank you.
Yep.
Number 8, discussion with representatives of Asset Management and Public Works regarding the current repair status and long-term maintenance of city-owned Route 66 assets. So, We have a whole bunch of people coming to the table.
That's for sure.
Anna, are you starting, or are you first? Who's up first?
I think it's pretty joint. Terry's handing, and you will see the extent of it with what Terry is handing out right now.
Okay.
Yeah, so,
We've got Anna
Council-
America, Terry Ball, and Mark Hogan here.
So Counselor Dutton, myself, and Counselor Bengal were in the last Route 66 Commission meeting. And as we are preparing for the centennial event, we just wanted to make sure to take a look at all the property owned by the city along the route and making sure that everything is in pristine shape for as much as possible.
Yes, ma'am.
For the visitors that are coming in for the events.
Yeah, the pink column is the most definitive aspect that there was no understanding of, which you clearly defined here.
Well, and just to follow up, I mean, this is actually, and I think we've had this conversation in the commission meetings, and I've had it individually with a couple of you as well. What these conversations have really highlighted is that, and when we got this list, I sat in the room with Mark Hogan when he first pulled this list up. And I won't repeat what he was saying, because as he looked through, and many of the items on this list, he did not know existed, none of us knew even existed. Some of these are pretty, they're plaques, they're things like that. But it really has highlighted something that I think every person at this table has really emphasized for some time, that we can be pretty awesome at building things, and we're not always as awesome about having a plan in place and funding in place to take care of those things. So with the Route 66 assets in particular, a lot of those have gotten built, and literally nobody, one of our three departments typically takes care of almost all facilities around the city. Many times we do together. I mean, we work together on specific projects such as the Gilcrease Trail, which is both a public works asset and a parks asset. But we didn't even know that some of these, we learned about them first a couple years later when somebody calls, Mark and says, hey, something's broken, come fix it, and we didn't even know it existed. So we had hoped to come here with this full plan in place, and then we got the list of all the assets and realized, oh, we're still driving around figuring out what some of the assets are. But what broadly, and these guys can vote that in because they've got a lot of responsibilities here too, what we are working together on is to come through here, kind of really identify everything, make sure it's assigned to somebody, and then come back to you working on what we presume will be the maintenance costs on those on an ongoing basis, and come back to you with that. And then in particular, Councilor Bengal and the other councilors who are part of the Route 66 Commission, we really want to propose that we pause on building new things, and that until we really have a plan in place, because we want these things, and I know Mark kind of left, but we will all be working together to make sure that the city looks good for all those visitors who will be here over the next month. But we want to make sure it lasts beyond that too, and that these are all things that you guys are proud of, that they're in your district and that they look great. So hopefully within the next month or so, we'll come back with some numbers on what we think a maintenance plan, and then if there is the ongoing funding that comes through Vision Tulsa, or at least for some more time, we've got funds there, Route 66, but we'll be working with the commission as well on how we can make sure that funds are dedicated to taking care of things. So happy to, these guys I'm sure may have some things to add, and you guys have questions, we're all happier to answer them.
Yeah, just real quick, the spreadsheet you do have, this is, keep in mind, it's a draft. All of our departments that are shown on here are going through this. We're still working up prices of what we think it is, whether there's an annual. Some items don't necessarily have an annual cost, it's just if you have a person, we tend to have people veer off the streets and hit things. And so when that happens, it's gonna be more of a one-time expense to repair, and a lot of times when they hit it, we're finding more times than not, they're not insured. So it tends to be 100% on the city to replace it. So that's one of the things, and that gets back to being self-insured. Really, it's just, at that point in time, we'd have to find money, but there's not an annual money necessarily needed on some of these items. So as Anna was saying, we're still vetting through this. We've got a bit of a history of finding grants, finding capital funding, and then later on not having annual funding then to maintain things. So I think that just falls back to our facilities, to these items, just trying to make sure moving forward, we've got an identified maintenance fund before we build things. And I think that's more and more critical for the city to do, so that we don't build things and let them go into waste. So, again, finding, what source is it, or somewhere down the road, a Route 66 somehow through, what funding source that would be, especially this being a very big tourism route, maybe that's a future dedicated funding source to maintain all these items, because as you'll see, this is a huge amount of items that have been built over the years, just for Route 66 attractions and visitors. So that's just something we'll have to come up with the costs, and then down the road, we'll have to figure out what that source of funding is. May not necessarily be general fund, it may be future sales tax. It's based upon, tourism kind of locations and maintaining it, because you've got artwork and other things in the right of way that exist that really doesn't have a means of maintaining either over the years that we've put in there, so.
And another thing about it, as you look through the list, these are very, almost all of them are unique. They're not things that we normally do, that we're regularly doing. I'm looking forward to figuring out what maintenance costs will be on the Crybaby statue, for example, or Cyrus Avery Plaza, or all different, these are just things that we don't have something
Howard
in
Park.
place that tells us, oh yeah, this is exactly what maintenance looks like on these, that dinosaur at Howard Park.
Right.
There's gonna be a lot of things that will have,
Dam at the river.
interesting, I'm sure, maintenance, needs in the future that we're not even, that we don't even know until it happens, so.
And I only chuckle because we have folks checking the east and west every day, the neon signs every day, and keeping up with the vandalism on those four main pieces is extensive. And then if y'all would say a lot of prayer between now and when the parade is, that we don't get a severe thunderstorm, lightning and hail. Because
Let's break the neon. Oof.
because the neon signs cost about $5,000 a piece each time the
Yeah.
thunder blows the transformers, and
Yep.
then if the tubes get hit, it's more pricey than. But that's not the biggest thing. The biggest thing is there's only one person in town that can make the tubes for the neon, and the plastic on the east and west ends, it's really nice looking signs. These are all beautiful pieces, but the lead time on making them look beautiful again after damage is difficult.
Of course, we have the neon sign park, just west of the river, and so.
Okay, several questions, starting with Counselor Dunn.
Okay, so I'm looking over, it's awful small print for old eyes over here. So I'm trying to calculate some numbers here.
Are you trying to look by district for investment?
I'm looking for specifically what's in mine.
Yeah, that's what I was,
Yeah.
so it just sounds like
So-
if you want this sorted by is this a spreadsheet we could be sent and then we
Sure.
could sort by district?
Yeah.
There's
I
no
can pull that
district
for you.
column
Yeah,
here.
okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking
I
at
can
the
ArcGIS it.
McIntyre Airport, Cyrus Avery, on Admiral, Admiral Place. There's the motels on 11th Street, Route 66 Interpretive Plaza, Tulsa Auto Court, 8833 East Admiral Place, the Route 66 Rising Sculpture. There's a whole list of east side attractions, and I say that loosely, that are still ignored and not addressed. The Route 66 Rising is still not lit up.
We're still working on that.
I drive by it every night just to see what the progress is. The big light above it, that's super blinding, does not do the Route 66 Rising justice. And if you're coming from the east side, you see Tulsa, but 66 is meant for your for your east vision. So you're not seeing the 66 if you're going east for the Route 66 Rising. You see it backwards. The Interpretive Plaza, the plaques are all worn out, very difficult to read. and I'm not sure what this auto court you guys are talking about here on 88.
Again, this is still a work in progress, so.
I get it, it's
We've
been a
had
work
this.
in progress since 2005. I guess that's my point. And I bring this up in the commission meetings all the time. It seems that other areas of the stretch of Route 66 have benefited greatly. The dinosaur, something new coming in, I'm not opposed to that, but I'm just saying there's money that could have been spent on the projects that were designated from 2005 for the east side. And so here we are, getting on May 30th, and I'm gonna say it, we want to call ourselves the capital of Route 66, except east of Yale. And that's a good 8-mile stretch. And so I appreciate all the efforts thus far, but I feel we've been shortchanged on the east side since 2005.
The fixtures on the lights out east
Mhm.
were damaged, not replaceable, beyond repair. We ordered new fixtures, they were supposed to be here 2 weeks ago, they were supposed to be here yesterday. They're now, looks like a week and a half to 2 weeks out still. You're just like anything else in the industry today. Lead times is unbelievable, and we can only fit something in a hole.
I can appreciate that, but it's been known for the last 4 years, Route 66 Rising has not been lit up. And I can
If
also,
answer to that.
I can
That is-
also say,
You know, that's literally been a challenge of the commission to get that resolved.
I get that, I do.
We actually did have an artist who responded to an RFP to fix that, and then didn't respond after that, so we kind of restarted that process again, and is that not correct? So, it's been a challenge to get that Route 66 sign, that Route
I
66
understand that.
Rising.
I really do understand
There's been
that.
really concerted effort, and finally, we had to give an ultimatum to that artist to say, you have this date to respond. We really tried to get that fixed last year.
I
So we wouldn't
understand,
make
and I
that
understand
space.
with all the tariffs and everything that's happened just in the last year, but we're still looking at 4 years, and I appreciate the efforts that have gone into it thus far, but I'm still grossly
Yeah, you
frustrated.
can't
The
imagine the
banners,
irony of being the chair on the Route
I
66
can-
commission
I
and
know.
not having a penny of it.
and then there's the banners on the poles on 11th Street, the Route 66 banners, and we're still missing quite a few, and we're missing some poles. So,
Though-
I thought the
no.
banners were replaced, I've seen them.
No,
No.
there was a different batch of banners on 11th done years ago. Those had issues that they were breaking off, and there was never any replacement. So as those have broken off and fallen, we've just, because they ended up being a hazard to cars and people, and they were not a good design.
how are they a hazard to cars and people if they're in the
Because if
median?
they break free on a windy day, they blow into the driving lane.
Especially on a day like today.
So we basically had to, there was a flaw in their design, and we took most of those down because they were breaking. And
I've recovered a couple from in the medians that had fallen due to the wind, but I've never seen any in traffic. But I'm still, the banners have been down for over 10 years.
they were again, this highlights.
A one and
They
done.
were a one and done fund. It's no different. I mean, this gets back to our trees and our beautification
Mm-hmm.
funding is, in the past, we've gone in and funded tree plantings, and then there was no money behind, so the trees all died. 11th Street is a great example of that.
Mm-hmm.
With the beautification funding, now we've gone back and
Oh,
vegetated all
yes,
those
I've seen
corridors
those,
now,
yeah.
and now we actually, through the PSO beautification funds, we have dedicated funding now to actually maintain them, and we've got long-term contracts with Upwood Trees. And so this sort of highlights the issue of one-time funding versus long-term maintenance, and I think this is a perfect example of why you've got to be careful of authorizing a one-time expenditure if you're not gonna have money in the background to maintain stuff. And
I
think that's-
understand that.
And I think
and
you're
I also-
absolutely right, Counselor, but, and you're also emphasizing why the three of us are working together
Yeah,
and trying
right.
to
And
respond.
I
Route
understand.
66 Rising, I didn't even, I mean, my electrician said, I understand I'm supposed to go do something here, they said it's parks, and I said, well, that's not a park. We didn't even know, so we literally somebody someplace thought parks would take care of that, but it was never assigned to us, we didn't have funding, we didn't know, it wasn't on his list. So I think that's what we're really trying to say is how do, and we're working on that. I don't say how do we do it, I'm telling you, we are going to do that and come back and say, this is what it takes. There are things, you mentioned, like I think 3 things that I have no idea what they are, and they're on this list. The list, by the way, just for sake of, so everybody understands why we are surprised by some of the list, was pulled together by folks in the planning group who went through, you know, kind of historically everything that has been added. And as I said, many of those things have never been, none of the 3 of us were ever sort of told, hey, here's a thing, and you're gonna be responsible for that, so make sure it's in your budget this year, so.
Right,
One of
okay,
our planners that retired, that was part of the Route 66, everything, would call me whenever something broke and ask if me and Terry could figure out how to fix it. But that was usually major things, lights.
Yeah, well, we still
Stuff.
don't have lights on 11th Street. I do want to emphasize that as well. And I'm looking, I just added the numbers for the costs on in the margins here. And for these, just the few projects that I mentioned, comes to a total of 763,000, roughly, including, if I'm reading the numbers on the side correctly for the
The
expenditures.
project costs?
Yeah.
I will note the dinosaur, that's all private funds.
Yeah,
And this
okay.
doesn't distinguish here, so that was,
Okay,
that is
well, I
not
appreciate
city
that
funds.
information. I also appreciate what you've done for McClure Park as well, as far as
I'm
like the
just putting the
lighting.
lights in the parking lot, by the way, I just
Yeah.
signed up on that today.
I go by there frequently as well. So that is much appreciated, and I think that's also gonna help and benefit on people traversing Route 66. But I just wanted to vocalize the frustrations, because I remember when 2025 first came out in 2005, that's when I had purchased my property on 11th Street, and I had high hopes that being an anchor at that time for various tourists coming from Europe was imperative. And so to be here 2026 in the Centennial and still seeing the lack of progress is just really frustrating.
One thing, and this shows how much we trust you guys, that this list is gonna give you is, you're gonna know who to call.
Right.
It's gonna have everything
Right.
on here, and you know how to reach us, and we're
I
not gonna be
appreciate
able
it.
to say, yeah, that's Mark's, that's
Right.
not mine, so,
Right. I appreciate it, thank you.
thank you.
Counselor Bellis.
Well, first off, I know that this takes a lot of coordination to figure out, and it looks like you had to really go dig in the archives to figure out where everything is. And then second, the first rule of Fight Club is don't talk about the Crybaby Hill sculpture. I just can't. Okay, but yeah, like it just never again. But no, I guess I was curious, or just as like a food for thought thing related to as you're thinking about funding for maintenance for some of this, I am curious which of these falls into different like Main Street program areas. Like the Kendall Whittier, and that those main streets have been able to leverage like those state match dollars that for, what was it, like the Kendall Whittier Main Street was able to get some state dollars to update like the clock and some other things recently. And that's something that they could apply for again, not to put that on necessarily the Main Street to have sole responsibility of, but I'm just thinking of ways that the city could partner to try to access some other dollars with these Main Street areas to try to
That's a
keep.
great idea.
Yeah, I was just trying to think of, because it's a lot to have to do maintenance for.
And there will be,
Yeah.
for example, at the train depot in the village,
Mm-hmm.
and the Route 66 Main Street is housed on that same complex.
Yeah.
And so those organizations will do maintenance on
Right.
most of those amenities there.
That's-
So just because we're trying to be comprehensive, because in
Of
the end,
course.
those people could go away and we are responsible for it
Mhm.
still, but in every instance where there is a partnership or an opportunity to work with someone, we will be doing that.
Yeah.
So when we come back to you with that plan, we'll incorporate that as well.
Yeah.
But that's a great suggestion, and if people have other suggestions where you think there are partners here, we'd love to hear them.
Yeah, because that's what I was just trying to think through, because per your point, like some of them are already doing that maintenance, or again, there maybe are grant opportunities through those programs. I think that could be really helpful, and then of course, obviously, like some of these, if it's, something that's being maintained, like a marker on, the Bama company's building, let's hope maybe they'll come in and help with that one. I don't know, I'm just thinking of, those different corporate or nearby corporate partners, I just started instantly thinking through all of the, how are we gonna maintain all of these things now that we're looking at the full list, and that's challenging. And then I was just gonna check on, I had a question about, I think two. Well, one is, just so you all know, I don't know if this person ended up following up, I gave him contact info, but someone found in an estate sale a Cyrus Avery Bridge historical marker. That you can actually go physically see where it should be on the bridge. Like once you see the size of the thing when you go, you're like, oh, it's supposed to be there, but who knows how long it hasn't been on the bridge. I'll follow up and track it back down if that person never followed up with.
I don't think so.
Okay, I'll make a note. But yeah, someone found a whole little historic marker for, yeah, isn't that cool? Okay, I will make a little note. And then the other thing I was curious about is I remembered Neon Quarter / neighborhood formerly known as Forest Orchard, or maybe it was the Meadow Gold area, doing something with the Route 66 planters like Kimberly Norman. I just wasn't sure if like,
Well, the Route 66 planters,
yeah.
originally, the responsibility of the Route 66 Commission to maintain.
Okay.
Now, there are some license agreements in place, because a
Maybe
lot
that's what
of
I'm
places saw
thinking.
that as a hardship. They didn't really want to deal with them once they were out there.
Right.
So there are some groups that have done license agreements.
Okay.
Where they brought them up closer to the building, especially around Medigold. You'll notice some of them have pushed them, and those are covered with individual license agreements with individual businesses.
Okay.
There was one started with Kendall Whittier, but I don't think they ever executed it. So they started to do a license agreement for theirs, but we don't have an executed copy, so we're still researching to see if it ever got formally executed, but that would have covered those Route 66 planters. They were a one-time expenditure, and again, if somebody, like a car ran into them or something like that, we would just go, as my department, we would just go pick them up and haul them off, because they're not replaceable. They were custom made, one-time made, so.
Yeah.
And there's enough others that people don't want. If they really like theirs, we would probably find one that doesn't want one and move it over there. But other than that, it's really, day-to-day responsibility falls under the Route 66 Commission as funding allows, I think is how the agreement says. Which, to honest point, then if they are no longer there, it falls back to the city of Tulsa.
Right.
Everything falls back to the city of Tulsa ultimately, because that's just sort of the way the world works for us.
We think this will be, I think it'd be a good tool for the Route 66 Commission as well, and that's a good point. We'll divide it by council district, and it might take a little time and get that back to you, but then that can help you sort of see where assets are and where you want to invest. One other thing I would encourage, and it's about this but everything, and I know you guys have all heard me say this before, when discussion comes up on building something cool and new, involve who you think will be taking care of it in those early discussions, because one of the problems is, like on neon's really hard, and we can't do that in-house. So and it seems super cool to do this thing, and it's awesome, and then suddenly Mark's gotta get a contract and take care of it, and if some of those conversations were happening earlier, you guys have heard me talk about this before, but, sometimes we put a thing here, and it made mowing just enough harder that it can't be done with a commercial mower. And now somebody has to get off, and nobody talked to the people who mow it. Now somebody has to
You're paying
get
for
off
handwork then.
and weed eat it or hand mow it, and that drives up our cost, and absolutely unintentional on the original part. So, things where you can't change the light bulbs without a lift become much more expensive.
Are these, for instance, I'm just thinking through the future of city art installations per what you just described, is that being incorporated into part of that kind of review decision process, since those are, like, now we know those unintended consequences so palpably?
I don't know that it is, but I will make sure that is raised with our arts, our public arts.
I would just wonder, since you end up with like, asset management doing it, or, somebody else doing it later, it might make sense to be like, okay, we're considering this installation. Someone's
Yeah.
gonna have to come in and do, and just making sure that maybe you three get to review as
Anything
well
in
to sign off
parks-
that you're, like, the maintenance is actually feasible.
Yeah.
Or you're very clear on what would have to be done for maintenance, so that you don't end up in that situation where you
Totally.
inherit a situation again.
Anything in parks, is it safe? I'm always like, is this gonna, can a kid hurt themselves on it? Does it impact our maintenance? Does it impact other uses there? Sometimes these things happen where it blocks wheelchair access or something unintentionally, so, you gotta make sure you're protecting the other uses as well, and then they can figure out if it's good art or not. That's not my job.
And I've been working with Susan Miller's group, because they've got that neighborhood money, and they've been meeting with all the neighborhoods of what assets they want to build in their neighborhoods, and we've really been trying to emphasize low to no maintenance items they install, not high maintenance items. Because some of the items originally that were in their wish list, just had to say, the city can't afford that because it gets into high maintenance. So we've been working with them to, as we move into some of those wish lists of those improvements at each of those neighborhoods with their money, we're trying to get where it's more of a, where it's doable for the city long-term maintenance wise. So we have been working with her group on that, because that is something that will end up in one of our group's hands, more than likely mine on that one, mostly. Just trying to make it where it's not another liability to the general fund or whatever fund has to pay to maintain that.
A magnet for cars to hit.
Yes. That's why we should never have another fountain anywhere near a
I know.
intersection.
Fountains are the bane of
Oh, is
existence.
the traffic circle fountain not doing great? Sorry. Too soon, I know.
Yeah.
That's another fight.
We'll put a plant on that at some point.
Yeah, someday.
Okay, Counselor Dr.
We could put a crying baby on top of it.
Again, the first
Counselor
rule.
Dr. Wright.
Thank you. I appreciate Counselor Dutton, you elevating your frustrations. I know the previous counselor, probably counselors, Patrick, also have those frustrations. District 7 doesn't touch the route, but we certainly will benefit from all the visitors being in town, whether it's locals that are trying to get off the route and they'll come to 71st Street, or people in town that will do more than just,
Motels.
yeah, that'll just stay. So, I've not been actively involved as a counselor in the commission and things, but having worked in Kendall Whittier and seeing, the activation there, I definitely am excited about what we're doing. Thank you to you all for doing this matrix. It's a little astounding that one didn't exist, but there's always time to do something better. I would, I'm gonna zoom out for a second. We're gonna be doing an IoT 4 package or some sort of vision thing. Can we put in the process a fiscal impact statement, and maybe in the RFPs also have like anticipated maintenance costs or feasibility for replacement, like for materials? I mean, we can't predict the future, but we could maybe have a scoring rubric that's like, if you use more sustainable materials, or, do something so it's lower to the ground or whatever, would they get higher points, something. Because I think we get excited about the concept and then we just go, let's figure out how to do it. And I think we do need to value engineer some of this stuff, to the point that we can. On the Route 66 thing is specifically, a lot of investment's been made over 20+ years. Private investment, public investment partnerships. And I think what I just heard is the Route 66 Commission is kind of charged with the task of doing this, obviously with huge backing from the city. Is there a way to quantify the general fund revenues that come off of Route 66 investment and then chip off a piece to go into an ongoing maintenance fund? Has anyone ever looked at that? Or could we?
Meaning the economic impact?
Yeah,
Of
so
the- of
like,
the
I mean, so we say, it's $1 million coming in because of the attractions. Could we chip off, 1% for maintenance? I'm just using $1 million, I'm sure it's multiple times that. But that way we don't run into like, well, Hogan has to pull it off the maintenance for these other, right? And you don't have to pull off regular park maintenance, you don't have to pull it off routine and preventative maintenance. There's actually a dedicated fund, because we said we wanna be the home of Route 66. I don't imagine that after May 30th, we're like, woo, we're done and we're not doing anything else. Hopefully, we're looking at Yale and heading east, right? It's for the next 25 years or whatever it is. But if we know we're gonna continue to add these things, and it's gonna continue to draw extra people to our community, then we have to take the responsibility of investing the same way we would do on public art or anything else, and I'm preaching to the choir. Like, we look across the street at the TPAC and we're like, we should have put a maintenance fund, right? But I'm just wondering, from a policy standpoint, for us to not continue to do what we've done, which is dream big, build the thing, and some future group's gonna figure out how to keep it going. Even like animal services we talked about, like, if we could kind of contain it to the route, to the facility, to have this revolving, we've talked about BOK brings in the dollars, we can use it to kind of spread over a convention center. Just work a little smarter so that folks like you don't have to, go, oh, I didn't know it was our group, great, I didn't ask for money in the budget, or we're already outside of our maintenance fund, so I gotta pull it off here and hope we'll get dollars later on a FEMA reimbursement or whatever. I mean, it's just, we all know there's more need than resources, but I think we do have a responsibility when we ask the voters to support a thing, that we've also thought through, how do we sustain it? Because I don't wanna build things today that my kids 50 years from now are like, well, we gotta tear it down, cause they didn't come up with dollars to keep it going. So I would say, as we head towards whatever the next package is, we as leaders go, hey, let's look at how we're doing it and either put it in the front end when we're dreaming big, but also on the RFP side, so that people can indicate to us, like, I've thought about changing the angle here so that a mower can get through and it won't have to be hand trimmed. And then for the Route 66 Commission, just help me understand, do you all, or now that you have something like this, would you go to them and say, we need maintenance, we need to collectively ask for maintenance dollars in a budget? Like, is that what you're, now that you have kind of an inventory, or are you still anticipating that it would be by department?
I guess it could be either way. I'm assuming it would be by department, but I mean, my hope is that we're able to come back with a plan and that the commission and the council can support and look at that, and that may be allocated by the three departments, but it's tied to specific assets and specific, these are the things that need to get mowed, and that's an easy cost for us to come up with. We might generically have it might make sense to have a sort of designated replacement account that you can tap into for things like a sign or a plaque or whatever, since that's a thing that you could go years without having to do, or you could do 5 of them in 1 month, and so each department can't really predict other than just coming up with generic numbers, but.
Well, and I'm thinking of our new signs that we're trying to get the 2 anchors in, but there's more to come after. Those will have to be maintained.
No, those,
No, they're not, no, they're maintenance free.
You're gonna be out there, that's your retirement job.
Alright.
There's Counselor Lincoln,
Are you
shredding
talking
stick,
about
I
the
think about that.
vision?
scrubbing the
Once in a while.
graffiti off.
Are you talking about the Vision Welcome to Tulsa signs?
Like, we came up with all this
those are-
money.
That doesn't even include those 4 signs.
No, I know, but I'm
No,
just
those-
saying, like,
But those
let's-
are
Those
gonna,
are
yeah,
the
those
state-
are envisioned to
No,
have
but state
landscaping,
those 4 signs.
they're
Yeah,
gonna have
the-
power,
They did.
and they have
For Route 66.
neon lights in them.
Right, so like,
and
how are they, is there some guy out there hand trimming around the sign and,
No, that's-
Volunteers.
yeah.
no,
So
I mean,
it's just, I mean, we dreamt it up, and we were all
I'm gonna have-
excited.
I'm gonna have 81st and 91st.
Lincoln's out there
It's the
scrubbing
day when somebody's
graffiti
gonna
off of
forget to cut the
it.
grass.
He's the personal beautification officer for South Tulsa.
Well, and you
That's
guys
your
know,
retirement job, I've already said
anything
it.
with electric,
Yeah.
somebody will try to steal it.
Yeah.
Whether or not they
Water,
can, they
solar,
damage it,
water.
so.
Maybe we make it like, no, I'm just kidding.
Oh, I've said
Gives you
that
a
for
little shock.
years, no one ever listens.
Anyway, y'all are super smart and know in detail what these things run. We are able to dream big and get people to support what we do, but then we also need to do our due diligence. And I'm not placing blame anywhere. The last thing I would say is it possible to get something like this, not anytime soon, but maybe in the next year, of all the art and all the stuff, and all the fountains? Because I imagine there's probably more that's like, oh, that's parks, no, that's asset management, oh no, that's not ours, that's not theirs. We have it in my district, these weird medians that are in the middle of neighborhoods that have like a dead tree on it, and literally the neighbors are like, well, that's the city, and the city's like, no, that's you all. That's your HOA that hasn't existed for 40 years, so then that tree just is still dead in the middle, and it's, so I imagine we got these weird boulevard things, and burning tree and just little things like that. So some maybe interns or something, because if we can get it codified, then no matter who's leaving or who's coming in, at least it lives somewhere. And
well, most of the stuff that's like mowing and all that, we've already got a GIS layer that shows all those responsibilities. Now, like the case you're talking about, where an HOA dissolved, and, that was actually platted in their
Yeah.
plat. Unfortunately, the city of Tulsa's gonna be on the hook for those two.
right, but I
those two
imagine
medians.
cumulatively, they're all
And
across
so,
the city,
yeah, and that
stuff
just
like
gets-
that.
But I mean, other than that, we have this unassigned list, we used to call it the orphan list, that we worked on over the years, that, like when trails came about. And so we've had this in the background for
Okay.
quite a while. It's just Route 66 happened, just a lot of funds got put into one area over a period of time to build this one corridor up.
Yeah.
Unlike any corridor
Yeah.
that I know of in Tulsa got built up, and it's just, unfortunately, the people who got the funds weren't the people that had to maintain it.
Right.
So that's sort of where, the departments that went and asked for the funding and got the construction funding, weren't the same ones who ultimately get handed it, and that's where this list,
Sure. One, just where I did think we're doing it right, Anna, is with the development out at 71st Street, doing that public-private and already anticipating what it's gonna take to maintain 60 acres of public park. And making sure that the private developer in the RFP knew that that was gonna be a shared. I think that's super smart, because it'll be a great amenity, but hopefully the way it's structured, we won't be going like, well, the playground equipment is 20 years old now, and who's gonna help change it over? We'll have the little dedicated fund. So I hope, in the, whatever the next package is, we can contemplate a dedicated maintenance fund for stuff we already own. And then if we're dreaming of any new things, which everyone's all excited about a soccer stadium, but given what we're doing with the BOK Center and Arvest, like, we need to learn from the challenges that we have, that it has to be baked in from the front.
And I think one thing that hurts us too is we tend to have partners who eventually disappear on us. Like, we did that with Brookside Business Association.
Yep.
We did all those flower beds for them, and then they did it for like a year or two, and then they quit maintaining them, and then started calling 311 saying the city
Yep.
needs to come fix them.
Oh, yeah.
Even though they were built for them. You know, and we've had, issues, even you go down to
I know.
the dam, the zinc dam. Originally, it was intended that Tulsa County would pay for half the maintenance, and then they backed out on the Tulsa, 2 years ago. We got left with the entire bill for that, so I think it's some things like that, over time, we need to, if we're gonna build it too, is figure out how we.
Well, and when people give us things, when we get gifts
Yeah.
from other cities or whatever, let's
Right.
make sure we think through the Trojan horse aspect. I'll just, and I know everybody who knows me knows I've been talking about maintenance for many
Yeah.
years, as both of these guys have as well. But I'll give the commission a lot of credit, because I think you elevated in a way that really helped everybody stop just, we focused on it sort of in this individual response, this is a problem, let's figure out how to deal with this one problem. And so that kind of pushed it up to where, let's be more strategic, and not that Terry and Mark and, Parks, that these departments haven't worked together. I don't think we've been as intentional and strategic about like really developing a plan that goes, citywide. And so hopefully that'll be a model for how we do other things. To your point, these other assets or public art as it gets, because the public art, again, it'll be put someplace and somebody's responsible for it when if it gets damaged or whatever. So really kind of thinking through that and being more strategic and planning and including it in the packages. I mean, absolutely. So appreciate you guys making us do this
Thank
extra
you.
work. But it's worth it.
We need to do 66 East, like a focused.
Okay,
Effort.
Councilor Lakin, you're up.
Yeah, you and I are on the same page on the, I wrote down Capital Project Maintenance Fund, which is not a good acronym. But I was trying to think of something catchy, that or a bid or something like that. For not just Route 66, and I would say, let's get started with this budget year. Let's not wait on a.
Well, I
we're
was
gonna
thinking
be
about those
spending-
vision dollars, right, that, maybe we should look and
Yeah.
see if a little bit can
Well,
seed a
something, or
fund.
let's just start one, and every single budget year, we have to invest something in that so that we can at least grow an endowment fund and take care of the things that we own.
That's right.
And if we have really important retail or historical corridors, the problem with bids is that it assesses on the business owners.
Right.
It'd be great if we could just say, well, in this corridor, the tax rate goes from 8.517 to 8.617. So that 1/10 can be used in that corridor alone.
Kind of overlay.
I mean, I
Yeah,
kind of was
yeah.
thinking about
Or,
what overlay
yeah,
options were
overlay
there in my head.
Tax district, we'll just create something.
That's what I
legal.
said about the
Yeah.
market district, they need to create a business improvement district.
Well,
And
they
tax
have
at a
the-
different rate for,
Yeah, but
that
with the
specific
bid, I think
corridor.
it's just an assessment on the business owners, so they're just having to pay more of their property taxes.
Yeah.
And I know, but that's
But
on
on,
them,
I
then
think
they
on
have
the
to
sales
raise their
tax side is where
prices.
we could
I
look
know,
too,
and usually
or
the idea is that they're
lodging.
getting something back for it, which I guess this
Yeah.
could be generating more tourism.
but
if-
they've
Well,
been
I'm
using a
up
lot
for-
of public
Yeah.
funding.
I think we ought to start something with our own investments and then
Yeah.
think of something creatively for even Brookside. If Brookside really wants to have nice sidewalks, nice flower beds, nice streetscaping, landscaping, lightscaping, all that other stuff, then let's do something that causes that
shared
to happen every
maintenance.
single year through a dedicated investment.
Well, this needs to look
Okay,
similar
so
to the
my
version
questions
in
really are
Star Wars.
probably right on the edge of the agenda language, but what are we doing between May 25th and May the 30th to make sure the route is mowed, is free of graffiti, is free and clear of trash and everything else? Because there's a lot of people coming in.
You're out there doing it.
It feels like thing 1 and 2 need to come through and do a clean sweep.
Mowing of right away, that's ours, that will be taken care of. The street sweeping, we're already, because of the ARPA money that we got additional, we do weekly street sweeping on the Route 66. Graffiti, we'll make a run on that. I will tell you, we last week sent a email to the railroad over there by Crystal City, asking the railroad, you know, and then mayor's office has reached out also to the railroad through their contacts, trying to get them to, because we can't really go mow their right away because we're trespassing and it's close enough to the rail that it gets back, we'd have to pay for a flagman to be there with us, so it would get very expensive. So we're asking them to maintain their property there, but other than that,
Code enforcement?
Yeah, code enforcement actually was out on Admiral this past weekend, so.
I would just say, all eyes on Route 66 for the
Right.
next 3 weeks, trying
Well, I
to get
know
that
that-
whole thing just
For
I
our
know
big
that
cleaned
code
up,
enforcement-
restored. This is clean up your house because the
Yeah.
guests are coming over and we want them to think that we always
Absolutely,
live this
yeah,
way.
if you have to shove stuff in the oven and the dishwasher.
It all works, yeah.
Yeah,
Go to
totally.
bed.
Oh, am I the only one who does that? Yeah, absolutely. Howard Park, Tracy Park, and the
And we would
Cyrus
do
Avery
this for the
Plaza.
long term, we would do this long term as well. You want me to pull it back to the agenda?
Well, those three assets, those three Route 66 assets.
Oh.
Code enforcement did a big initiative in the fall.
Yeah.
Went through and
Yeah,
did
but-
Yeah.
Well,
but-
but it takes
Growing
time to
season now.
post and actually do those things, so I actually think they were doing it at the right time for
Yeah.
them to have to do those.
And we're
But if there's
putting
any
out
summary
additional,
abatements or anything else that can
Yeah.
occur.
at those three locations, because we know that there's some gatherings, particularly around the parade at Tracy Park, so we're putting out extra trash cans. I've told them to plan on doing extra, go beforehand, especially the weekend when we have the parade, the car parade, before and after that to, people can come in the middle of the night and do graffiti and stuff, but as close to that, get everything clean, put out the extra trash cans, come immediately afterward to pick up all the extra trash. So, yeah, we're,
Okay.
Good. Are you done, Counselor?
Are you gonna get those
Yeah.
out? Are you giving those to them? Or what do you got there?
I know, I wondered
No, I'm
about
just
that.
playing, I'm just messing around with them, I'm probably.
Says
driving people
doodle
crazy.
Oh, I thought there was gonna be some presentation.
we'll come next time with the donation cup. And you guys
If
can-
everything that you say is done, then you may have one of these, after May the 30th.
Commemorative.
Counselor Lake,
No,
do you have any
that's
more?
all.
That's it?
Thank you.
Okay, Counselor Archie?
I think everything I had written down to say has been said. I appreciate, Mike Miller and the entire team putting whatever pressure we can on the rail lines. There has been mowing around our monument on Southwest Boulevard, but, so that's one thing. The other question was about the triangle signs, maintenance, for the Welcome to Tulsa signs. But I think the point I was gonna make, I think Councilor Dr. Wright made, is on the front end, when you do the RFPs, just embedding that maintenance as a priority in the beginning. And, it'll give sort of a wider scope of, you wanna do this? Well, there's whatever you gain, you have to maintain. And so it just paints a more comprehensive picture, which, so, thank you for this. This is good.
Thank you.
Okay, Counselor Gilbert?
Thank you. I pretty much, everything that I was gonna say said the same, but I would like to get a group together to start planning that RFP process as we move forward with our next capital improvement package, and making sure that when we do these projects, as Anna said earlier, that we do have that fund to make sure that we're able to maintain that new structure, so. But I also want to thank you guys for putting this together. This is the first time that I have seen something like this being done, and I just appreciate all your hard work on this. So, thank you. I would like to, if it's all right with the chair of Route 66 Commission, to bring this to the commission so that they can look at it as well. So, if you could come to the next,
Absolutely, you let
the next meeting, which I think is next
Tuesday.
week. Yeah,
When's Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Is the agenda already done,
I don't think so. Beth does that, so we'll get with her.
And we think this is comprehensive, but if, as you look through this, if somebody says, oh yeah, here's yet something else that is not on this list, that's for, that way maybe went through a different path or something, make sure to let us know.
Well, you said it so well, that we're so good at building things, but we don't have that fund to maintain, and that's where we are right now with BOK, unfortunately, and trying to take care of our best convention center, so, along with other
Right.
assets that we have, so, thank you very much for your hard work on this, appreciate it.
Okay, got 15 minutes. We're gonna keep on going down the list. Counselor Bingle?
Am I the last one?
No, do you wanna be last?
Let me be last.
Okay.
Mine's really short.
Counselor Bellis?
This is just, when you all go to update the spreadsheet, can you actually send us the, like, Excel, like, file? Okay, there's something about between this, or, hold on, so there's something, okay, I have a conspiracy theory going. Between like this and the capital improvement list and things like that, no one ever wants us to have a spreadsheet file. I love being able to read it and print it out.
It's all the hidden columns.
No, I don't know if it's the hidden columns or, I understand that things move around, so it's not, but my thing is whenever I wanna go like Control F and search and query, it's like we're never.
Well, or sort things, sometimes you want to
Yeah.
sort
If
things.
you-
Exactly, but
if you
we
want a
never get
draft
to.
one, I can forward this one to Sarah. This is a live link, so I don't really
Yeah,
wanna do
yeah,
that, because if you
Totally
edit it,
fair,
it
but if
messes
there's just
it
like
up.
a frozen,
love
if
to
you
have
could
that.
export
I've got a
it.
saved version I did right before I came up
Okay.
here. I'll email it to
Cause I
Sarah.
get it, like, I get it, I
Just
share
know that
files
it's
and I don't give
draft.
people edit access, I
couldn't figure out how to put
understand.
watermark
Yeah.
in this spreadsheet, so that's why it's all hands.
No, that's
draft
to-
on it,
totally
so.
fair, but between this and the capital
I'm ready.
improvement list, there's just so many times that we get handed this, and I'm like, God, I would kill for the spreadsheet file, and it's elusive, so.
That doesn't sound even remotely nerdy.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know,
not at
yeah,
all.
I hear it, but, yeah.
And these numbers down at the bottom of asset management were just myself and one of my staff this morning looking at this going, hey, did you know we had all this stuff? And it's worth this much, and what do you think it would cost us to maintain it based on
Yeah.
what we've seen so far? And I did look at all these monuments, and they've been out there a while, and they look not so good. And I don't believe that the project cost that was spent at the time they were put in is the replacement cost in today's dollars.
Of course not.
And every one of those is custom, and it's not something you're gonna just drop out of the park tomorrow.
Except for the $1 million undercarriage at the Cyrus Avery Centennial.
Correct.
The what?
The $1 million undercarriage.
The undercarriage?
Yeah. The carriage, yeah.
All the undercarriages cost $1 million.
That one was the most expensive one. That was back a while ago that we had that discussion. but
Okay, Counselor Lakin,
Expensive.
you're on the list.
Okay, so two quick questions that I failed to ask. Are the big signs up? Are they going up? When are they going up?
They are going up. We keep pushing Claude Neon to be done by that date. So right now, we anticipate them being there, but to Mark's point, we're not the
Well,
ones building.
Those are the ones that we were talking about.
Yes.
Where it's just. we
Yeah.
just
It's the
missed
two
this.
big entries. We've
Yeah.
got a contract. Claude Neon and his group is actively building them and trying to get them done in time. So
Okay, what can we do to help?
if you want to call Claude Neon, other than that, Matt Licky
James
calls
Adair
them
still there, or-
every day to talk to them.
Is James Adair still there?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not sure who's there.
Work your
but
magic, counselor.
If you wanna reach out to them,
Yeah. If anybody's watching, call Claude Neon and tell
And tell
them
them you love them.
how important those signs are.
we have been re-emphasizing it with them every time Matt talks to them of this is the importance for that weekend, 'cause especially the one in West Tulsa where they'll be wanting to take pictures with it, at the Route 66 Village there, but.
Yeah, and then the last question relates to just the old historical bridge. I know we probably have sufficient fencing and everything else up, but all that graffiti around that area, that Paul McCartney went and visited whenever he was in town, that made me nauseous that he was sitting amongst all that graffiti.
He probably liked it.
Well, I don't know if he did or not, but.
It's the next album cover.
We cleaned,
Exactly.
with the ARPA funding, we went and
It's
cleaned
rough.
all the vegetation that had grown up around those entry points. We don't go out on the bridge itself. If somebody's.
Oh, no, it's
on the
it's
sides.
down, yeah, so you go down the sides and it's all up on the sides. And then around the corner, if you go under the new bridge, the multimodal bridge, then it's all down there, all on the piers. If somebody can just go put some eyeballs on
We'd
it.
be going down on the piers, but.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
mean,
well, I'm not asking every single element, but if somebody will go just look,
We'll
I think that
assess
will
it.
be
We've
one of
been
those
focusing
areas where
on
people
the
stop
unkept look
and
of it,
people
which
get out of
was
their car.
the vegetation growing up through the fencing adjacent to the road, and we addressed that with Upwood Trees came in and cleared that out. As part of the ARPA funding, we planted trees along Route 66. That was some of that funding, and that's all been completed. We did that removal of all those things that were growing up about a month ago. So that part's been all addressed, but we'll take a look at it and see.
Oh, that's on your first question. Susan Miller from Planning is inviting anybody who would like to go with them to Claude Neon tomorrow to see the sign construction happen, so
Oh.
planning has a.
What time?
I don't know, I'll find
Okay,
that out.
find
Yeah,
out.
there's a meeting
It's-
tomorrow,
I
'cause
think
that way
they-
they were gonna reemphasize tomorrow also.
They know this is their chance to shine. I mean, you've heard how many times we're relying on Claude Neon, so they want to look good because they, make the city look good, so.
Yeah. Okay.
Friendly support, probably more than stick, I think will be.
Oh, yeah, no,
And we had a group of, I think it was 80 or 90 people who came out a few weeks ago along the Osiris River Plaza, volunteers. And got rid of so much graffiti and cleaned up and did all kinds of things. They worked hard.
Thank you.
Okay,
Bring us home.
that's for
Bingo.
bingo.
Was it my turn?
You have 9 minutes.
I have 9 minutes.
Well,
I had
till 4
15
o'clock.
minutes.
Oh, you have.
So-
You
have 2
you can
minutes.
grandstand for
No,
exactly
so-
8 minutes and
For
45
8
seconds.
minutes, all right, I want a grandstand then. All
Time's
right,
coming down.
so obviously this list has been in the works for a while, collecting this, so I appreciate planning and
No, they just did it.
you guys working on all this, so. I've always said this is a challenge because the first IoT package, you come in here and you're not building anything. You're fixing neglect from previous generations of failure to plan ahead. The PAC is a little harder, right? Because those types of buildings change. I know, as facilities grow older, they're gonna take more and more dollars to maintain. This one has frustrated me, to no end, just as much as you, Counselor. But this is another one of those lists where you're coming in here, they built everything in one portion of the city and saying, well, now we need the money to maintain it after we built it. So that means you don't get money for doing anything in your portion of the city. So,
And the money that was
but-
allocated got reallocated,
as I've told you, this is a marathon.
right?
And so I understand that because we're now in this position, we've allocated money specifically, the ARPA funds that previously were gonna go to something else.
Yep.
We've now rededicated to a actual good purpose. The state signs, like you talked about, the Trojan horse gifting sometimes, now we're gonna have 4 state Route 66 signs that are now gonna have to be maintained, that were gifts from the state. And those are being placed in specific areas.
State gift ones, yeah.
Yeah, so if you're not aware of that, the state gifted us 4 Route 66 signs, so that's gonna have to go
Well,
on
the
this
state
list.
should have to take care of that maintenance.
Yeah.
But we're
But
gifted them.
You've gotta build, yeah.
See highway lighting for that answer.
So I'm challenged just as much as you are by this, cause I have
Oh, I'd love
0.
to, but-
And I have from 193rd, I literally am the entrance off 193rd.
Yes, you
You have
are.
the original Admiral corridor, but it comes in off 193rd. I have literally nothing.
I know, I drove
So,
through there last
I think the
weekend.
challenge for me is I understand that we built this stuff, but
know that we have to fix this stuff before we can move and build anything else. And so we look at vision, because I talked about this during the council retreat about more funding, vision funding that was allocated for this kind of stuff. So this is more neglect that we're having to fund and figure out how to do it. So purposefully, in the discussion, when we build something else, the rubric, I totally agree with you guys. If these are in destination districts, there should be some partnership about grant funding and maintaining some of this stuff. Not, we're gonna build stuff and then be allowed to abandon it and then put it back on the taxpayer. So I really want us to fix the things that need to be fixed, and I don't want us to build anything else until we have a solid plan on fixing what is on this list permanently and having a maintenance fund for it.
So I'll stop with this list.
Huh?
I'll stop with this list.
Right.
So, anyway, that's all I had to say.
I hope you guys know how hard it was for the three of us not to be going the whole time, because this is something that we've all been just really advocating for. So it
Oh, and
really
code
helps a lot to
enforcement
have you
was
guys
part of this
championing
as
this.
well. They started out with an initial assessment about the specific businesses as they come to us on a regular basis to tell us where they are in that. So, yeah, there's been funding for all this, but that'll be neat to see those signs in place.
I know.
I'm excited to see
Mark
those.
Mark gets it done. Okay.
Okay, with that, we are adjourned.
Thank you, guys.
5 minutes.
Thank you.